And for more on the upcoming gun control debate in the country, we'll go now to Holland Cooke. He's a media consultant at survivalspeech.com and a conservative commentator, Dr. Gina Loudon. Hello to both of you. Thanks for being with me tonight. Dr. Gina, I'd like to start with you. You're a Second Amendment supporter. The conversation, though, isn't about taking away the Second Amendment. Rather, what is wrong with what could possibly be wrong with adding maybe just supplemental language to the amendment to perhaps prevent the sale of this type of high-powered rifle?
It sounds so good on its face, and I understand why people are frantically searching for solutions. But unfortunately, when we're operating in the realm of reactionary behavior, it's often important to step back and consider what we're really doing. And what we're really talking about doing is shifting the argument from blaming the person, the evil that committed this atrocity, to blaming an inanimate object, tantamount to blaming a car, for example, that can drive into a crowd of people. So then, if we're going to ban what made that inanimate object kill more people, are we going to ban fast cars, for example, because they can rev up faster and bang into a crowd of people much faster? We have to really think about where we're putting the blame and how we're going to write legislation and what that slippery slope may ultimately be.
Holland, I'll let you respond to that.
Well, Gina, you must have no problem with this Iran nuclear deal because the bomb is just an inanimate object. Come on. I had to double check this number. It reported in the Washington Post, 3% of Americans own 50% of the guns in the USA. 78% of Americans own no gun. The average gun owner owns 17 firearms. That's more than was in the room that nut job rented at Mandalay Bay. Come on.
I think you make a great point, and I think the point that you make is that we, by all means, want to keep guns free. We want to keep our Second Amendment rights, Holland, because if we lose them, then the people that don't have guns don't have access to guns. We know that criminals will not give up their guns, no matter how much gun legislation we might pass. And regarding the bump stocks, the other thing is those can easily be printed. I don't know if you realize this, on a 3D printer. So again, we are legislating against an inanimate object when the problem is the evil person that committed the atrocity. There are better, more effective ways to battle such a massacre than these, and I think it does present a slippery slope for people, for those people you're talking about, Holland, who may not have access to protect themselves.
And now, Holland, as Dr. Gina said, you know, the bad guys with guns, there's also on the flip side the good guys with guns, because there are civil rights leaders such as John Salter Jr., who was friends with Medgar Evers, who say that the Second Amendment actually gave them the ability to pack heat, to actually keep them, the protesters, safe from otherwise life-threatening Klan members back in the 50s and 60s. Are there any times that you might see fit for people to own semi-automatic weapons?
I'm wary of the logic that if everyone's armed, the world will be a safer place. Imagine in that movie theater in Aurora where there's smoke bombs going off and there's loud noise coming from every direction, if everybody there just started firing into the haze. Imagine with the ricochets going on and the explosion and the mayhem in Las Vegas, if a bunch of people just started shooting in the direction they thought the bad guy was shooting from. It would have ended up a lot worse. I think the genie is out of the bottle. You're never going to get the guns back from the bad guys. I just think it's fallacious to say, start handing out guns to a bunch of ill-trained good guys.
Nobody said that. Nobody said that. I'm trained, and most people I know who own guns are very conscientious about being trained and knowing what they're doing and knowing how to use them, because it's about crime prevention for most gun owners, Holland. And I think, you know, but please, Holland, let me finish, because I think this is important. When you talk about a movie theater where everyone in that movie theater, they were sitting ducks because they didn't have a gun. And Holland, when you look at the real statistics about the strictest gun laws, you can take Chicago, for example. Chicago, Illinois, and Holland, just as many people die every single month in Chicago, where they have the strictest gun laws, as died in this particular massacre. And yet no one's talking about that. So that is proof
know, folks,
perfect
I gotta
that it just doesn't work.
I got to switch gears real quick. We're out of time, but real briefly, last but not least, I have not heard anyone on TV call this an act of domestic terrorism. Is it domestic terrorism? Holland, you first, and Dr. Gina, I'll give you the last word.
How could you not?
Dr. Gina.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with them.
There, we found consensus. Thank you so much. Holland Cooke, the new host of The Big Picture, might I add, and Dr. Gina Loudon. Thank you as always.
Congratulations. Thank you.